Welcome into Jim and Betty Stadium in Boone, North Carolina, as the Point-Thomasville HiToms are on the road to take on the Boone Bigfoots. Welcome into the broadcast. I'm Adam Oppenheim alongside AJ Myers. This is the 7th out of 8 meetings between the HiToms and the Bigfoots, AJ, and the HiToms are just 1-5 in those games.
Yeah, unfortunately, the HiToms have not had the best of luck this season against the Bigfoots in their inaugural season in the CPL. They'll be hoping for some different luck, and I guess a congratulations and a relief to the HiToms is that they will not have to face Nadir Lewis. He's been a problem all year when he's come up against the HiToms. He was batting .412, and he had 34 RBIs. He's not in the lineup tonight. He got drafted, so congratulations to him. But HiToms, that's one less guy they're going to have to worry about. But still, this Bigfoot's batting order is very dangerous, and it's just been a thorn for the HiToms all season.
Yeah, absolutely. Nadir Lewis was drafted in the 20th round, 600th overall. His teammate, Jalen Vasquez, was drafted with the 601st pick to the Orioles. But for the HiToms, they had a player drafted as well. It was Wilver Dung in the 13th round, pick 399 to the Atlanta Braves. But Will has done a lot for this team, AJ.
Yeah, he's going to be really hard to replace, and a huge congratulations to him as well. He's really worked hard this season. I think he came in wanting to prove a point and make a purpose, and he did that. He batted .356. He had 36 hits, 15 RBIs, and he was walked 17 times. He was a problem for any team that came up against him, and he will be a huge miss. I don't think the HiToms are really going to be able to replace him in the batting order. I mean, a few guys are going to have to step up because he was a threat, whether it was at third base or in the DH position.
And we will take a short break for the national anthem and be right back with the starting lineups right after this, as you're tuned into HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Welcome back into Boone, North Carolina on this sunny evening game on a Wednesday night. Weather in Boone, North Carolina is about 78 degrees and 5 miles per hour of wind, which is what we will have most of the night. Might drop into the low 70s by the time this game is finished. And it's an important game for both teams. But let's first start you with the starting lineups. So first for the visiting team, the Point-Thomasville HiToms. Hitting first will be Kane Kepley. Following him will be Rowan Watt hitting second. Jack Spike will hit third. Josh Karen will be the cleanup batter hitting fourth. Dom Palali will hit fifth. J.D. Suarez will hit sixth. Following him will be Juan Correa, Jake Coonan, and Andrew Fernandez, the 8-9 in the lineup for the HiToms. And they're going to be facing Walker Case, who currently pitches at UNC Pembroke, formerly pitched at Catawba Valley Community College for 2 seasons, and now pitching at UNC Pembroke. And on the mound for the Bigfoots today so far on the year. He's 0-3 with an 8.34 ERA. This is his 8th appearance, 6th start, AJ. And it's someone the HiToms are looking to score early and often off of.
Yeah, and I think the HiToms batters, they look at that ERA and they should be smiling, thinking maybe this is a game where I can get going. You look at guys like Juan Correa, Don Paoli, Rowan Watt. Maybe those are 3 guys without no more Will Verdung. They need to step up. This is maybe an opportunity against a pitcher who has struggled this year to get the bat swinging.
Yeah, and his last appearance for Walker Case picked up a loss against the Owls on June the 29th. He went 4 2/3, allowed 7 runs, only 2 were earned, and allowed 6 hits. But in his total innings, 18 1/3 this year, 16 strikeouts and 12 walks. So he's really struggled this year, but the HiToms have been up and down, and they could really use a second win against the Bigfoots in the second to last meeting of the year.
Definitely, a win would obviously help, and also just gaining some consistency. You know, we talked about it when they lost the other night to the Salamanders after the big win against the Macon, and then you just get blown out by the Salamanders. It's just that's kind of been the path all season. It's just been up and down for this team. So if they can gain any kind of consistency in this second half of the season, who knows what could happen.
Momentum is the name of the game, and right now the HiToms, throughout the first half of the season, they didn't have it too much. In the second half, it's been the same way, and eventually you have to make up ground in the standings, and this is the very start of that. So Walker Case, the junior, pitches at UNC Pembroke. 6'3", 195 on the mound, set to deliver to Kane Kepley. Here comes the first pitch from the right-handed pitcher. It's fouled off to the left side and out of play. A very comfortable day for baseball, I will say, AJ.
It's a beautiful day here in Boone. I feel like every time we come up here, except that one time I think it rained right before the start of a game, but it's just been picture-perfect days, and this is another one.
The 0-1 pitch is on the outside corner. Strike 2, so 0-2 on Kane Kepley. It's about 7 or 8 degrees warmer in High Point, Thomasville. Certainly have a lot of the surrounding mountains. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It's outside on a fastball. It's 1-2 to Kane Kepley. No outs. No score in the top of the first. Just getting started here. 2 teams who have been battling for a while in the same division. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Kepley. It rises high off the glove of Hale. And the count's even at 2-2. HiToms coming in at 10-18, 2-4 in the second half. Boone coming in at 14-15, 4-3 in the second half. And both these teams right now are going to be chasing the Blowfish, who are currently 4-0 to start the second half.
Yeah, they've really impressed thus far in this second half, and they were close to catching the Owls in the first half on the west side, so they feel they have a point to prove, and they're showing it thus far.
2-2 pitch rises high, and the count is full on the first batter of the game. Kane Kepley plays his collegiate ball at Liberty University. Has a real knack for getting on base in any way possible. Here comes the wind and the delivery. It's outside, ball 4, and Case walks the first batter he sees in Kane Kepley. So it brings up Rowan Watt, who plays at UNCG, UNC Greensboro, and has a chance to get a HiToms. An early rally here in the top of the first. Kane Kepley on first, has speed. Case will set and deliver to Watt. Kepley takes off, but the pitch is fouled out of play. And into the grassy fields to the right of the HiToms dugout, down the first base line. So Walker Case will now work in the stretch. He'll get set. Glove up to his face, and now down to his chest, and fires the pitch. It's inside. It's 1-1 on Rowan Watt. Kane Kepley aboard on first after a leadoff walk after that bat started. 0-2 on him. Kepley, pretty sizable leadoff first. Case is set, and will deliver the 1-1 pitch. Kepley takes off. Here's a throw down to second. It's not going to be in time. It squirts in center field. Kepley's going to go for third, and he'll be in there sliding as the ball just got by the second baseman, Kai Wagner, and into center field. And Kepley advances because that ball was not thrown hard enough for Weller to grab it in center field.
And make that 14 stolen bases now for Kane Kepley. He's done a great job every time he's got on the diamond.
So it's 2-1 to Rowan Watt. On third is Kepley as that pitch is fouled off into the netting. It's 2-2. So Kane Kepley steals second. Hale's throw goes off the glove of Wagner and goes a little bit into the grass. It's all turf, but that's what I'm emphasizing it as. And Kepley took the extra base. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Watt. It's fouled off again, so he stays alive. No outs here in the top of the first.
And with Kane Kepley, he's done such a good job this year in the leadoff spot of getting on base. The problem is the rest of that batting order hasn't always been able to get him home. And now you're in a top first situation, him on third. This is a grand opportunity for the HiToms.
Here comes the 2-2 delivery from Case. It's hit up the middle. Amaskia dives. He can't make the play. 1-0 HiToms. Kane Kepley comes in to score on an RBI single right up the middle from Rowan Watt.
Well, right on cue, I was just saying how the HiToms have struggled at times getting Kane Kepley home. They're able to here off a great hit from Rowan Watt.
So a walk, a stolen base, and an error has set up the HiToms' first run on the RBI hit from Rowan Watt. Here's Jack Spike with Watt on first and no outs in the top of the first. Throw back over to Watt at first. He's back in time. HiToms hoping to have offensive production throughout the game, and certainly in the early game will help. Here's the pitch. Rowan Watt takes off for second. Here's the throw down. They got him at second base. Great throw from Blake Hale. A little bit of hesitation from Rowan Watt when that pitch was going to be delivered towards home, and it might have cost him.
Can't blame Rowan Watt for running there because Blake Hale, after the last throw he had towards second, wasn't the best one, and Kane Kepley was able to get around. So you understand Rowan Watt's thinking there.
0-1 on Spike with 1 out. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Just a little bit high. It's 1-1. So 2 stolen base attempts for the HiToms. One very successful that even caused an error. And another player was thrown on the bases in the form of Rowan Watt. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Spike. Case blew a fastball right by him. It's 1-2 with 1 out. Top of the first. HiToms lead 1-0. Walker Case back out of the windup. Will set and deliver his 1-2 pitch. The breaking ball rises high. It's 2-2. Now let's get you some fielders for the Bigfoots. In the outfield from left to right, Will Durrell, Max Weller, Tyson Bass. We're on the infield from third to first. Simpson, Amasquita, Kai Wagner at second, Caden Wagner at first. 2-2 pitch. It's outside, and the count is full with 1 out here in the top of the first. Behind the plate is Blake Hale. And on the mound, Walker Case, who is in the windup and will deliver the full count pitch to Spike. Strike 3 swinging. Blew a fastball high and inside by Jack Spike for out number 2.
Now batting number 23, Josh Karen.
Next up is Josh Karen for the HiToms in the cleanup spot and playing catcher tonight. Has been struggling a little bit with his bat on the year, but at Nebraska he hit right around 250. First pitch into Spike. It's a breaking ball, and it's right down the middle for strike 1 from Walker Case. Walker Case ready, at the belt, and fires the pitch. It's outside, ball 1. So 1-1 on Josh Karen, 2 outs. Top of the first, HiToms have a 1-0 lead on a leadoff walk by Kane Kepley, who steals third, advances to third on the air as Josh Karen fouls it off to the right side. Rather, steals second, advances to third on the air, and then gets brought home by Rowan Watt, who had an RBI single right up the middle. 1-2 pitch to Josh Karen. Here's the delivery from Case. It's outside, ball 2. Curveball that just went away from the zone and low. 2-2 on Karen, 2 outs. Walker Case is set and will deliver the pitch low. It's 3-2 with 2 outs in the top of the first. Walker Case is set and the windup and will deliver the 3-2 pitch. It's hit on the ground softly down the third base line, but foul.
Keep stomping, fans. Make some noise.
3-2 on Josh Karen. As Walker Case looking to get out of the first inning. Here's the pitch. It's lined into center field. Maxwell are giving chase. He lets it drop in front of him. It's a 2-out hit for Josh Karen on a line drive to center field.
I think Sean Stevens has to be really impressed with his team, the way they've come out in this game, especially after the heavy defeat they took to the Salamanders. They've come out hitting, and they've already got a run in and a man on first with 2 outs.
2 hits, 1 walk in this inning for the HiToms so far, and 1 run across. Here's Don Palali. Takes the first pitch just a little bit low on a fastball. 1-0, 2 outs. Josh Karen aboard at first base. Walker Case is back in the stretch. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Blew a fastball by Palali. Strike 1. The fastballs looked very good from Walker Case so far.
Yeah, it's definitely been his best pitch. He's got the HiToms swing on it, and they've missed almost every time.
1-1 pitch to Palali on the way. It's a breaking ball that catches the inside lower part of the zone. Strike 2. 1-2 on Don Paloli with 2 outs, and the runner on first being Josh Karen. Walker Case is set. Takes one look at Karen, will deliver the 1-2 pitch. It's in the turf, ball 2. Very eventful top of the first inning for the HiToms so far. Looking to tack on more runs, just have the 1 the inning. 2-2 delivery from Case. It's on the inside corner, strike 3 on a fastball. But the HiToms grab the early lead off some good base running from Kane Kepley and the RBI single from Rowan Watt. 1-0 the HiToms lead as we head to the bottom of the first against the Bigfoots. You're tuned into HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Welcome back into Jim and Betty Stadium on the campus of Appalachian State, where they play their collegiate baseball. But it's home of the Boone Bigfoots in the summer. And so far, the HiToms have a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first after Kane Kepley walked, stole second base, advanced to third on the air, and got hit home by Rowan Watt on an RBI single.
Yeah, I think that was an ideal start for the HiToms. You know, getting that early run in, that's something that they don't always get, and they will fall behind games and sometimes big leads. So getting just a 1 run is a good start against a Boone team that's been a problem for them all year.
And a problem for opposing teams has been Jay Dill, the HiToms starting pitcher tonight, who pitches his collegiate ball at Clemson, but so far on the year he's 2-0 with a 4.20 ERA. This will be his 4th appearance and his 3rd start. He's gone 15 innings, 11 strikeouts, 11 walks. But it's just allowed 9 hits and will face Will Durrell to start the game, or rather, start the bottom of the first. Here's Dill's first delivery. Fastball right by Durrell, strike one. Dill in his last 2 appearances went 6 innings against the Zookeepers and got the win, and went 8 against the Sharks in his last appearance, allowing 4 earned runs, 4 hits, and also received a win. The 0-1 pitch is low. It's 1-1. After Durrell will be Braden Simpson. Tyson Bass, one of the Boone All-Stars, will hit third. Caden Wagner will hit fourth, followed up by Max Weller and Rogue Wallace. Here's the 1-1 delivery. It's popped up in foul territory. Jake Coonan giving chase. He's right near the netting, and it falls out of play. And then the bottom third of the lineup will be Kai Wagner, Blake Hale, and Carlos Amasquita. Facing the big right-hander, Jay Dill, 6'5", 250, from Dayton, Tennessee. 1-2 on Will Durrell. Little rocker step and a fire from Dill. It's a breaking ball. It's fouled off on the ground down the first base line, so it stays at 2 strikes. Will Durrell started his summer with Boone with a 3-hit game against the HiToms. His first game in Boone as that pitch is fouled back. It's 1-2. And now let's get you the HiToms outfielders. It'll be Dom Palali in left field, Kane Kepley in center, and Rowan Watt in right field. There's Jay Dill. Back in the windup. Looking into his catcher, Karen shakes off a couple of signs and now will deliver the 1-2 pitch. It's popped up into center field. 3 HiToms giving chase. And J.D. Suarez is able to make the catch out in pretty decent-sized center field for out number 1.
Yeah, and with that HiToms outfield, the one big surprise or difference is Rowan Watt out in right field. We've seen him at left field, but he's making his first appearance today out in right. And really, he's been all over the field for the HiToms this season. Third base, shortstop. I think he's even made a few stops at second base as well.
Is Jay Dill checking with the umpire on something? Maybe something that he found?
Maybe he had jewelry on or something that he found, that too, yeah.
Tosses it back to head coach.
Yeah, it wasn't that important because he just threw it back to Sean Stevens.
Now let's introduce the HiToms infield. It will be Jake Coonan at the hot corner. J.D. Suarez will man shortstop. Andrew Fernandez will be at second. Jack Spike at first base. Josh Karen behind the plate, who receives this pitch in for a strike on a breaking ball on the outside corner. 0-1 on Braden Simpson with 1 out. Jay Dill is set for his 0-1 delivery. It's fouled off down the first base line, near where some lawn chairs are. We're at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. Pretty good crowd. Ton of kids out for a very warm evening. 0-2 on Simpson. Here's Dill's delivery. It's hit into right field. Rowan Watt coming on, and it will fall right in front of him. It's a base hit for Braden Simpson. Rowan Watt slowed up to make sure that ball just didn't get by him. But a 1-out base runner is aboard for Boone.
Now batting number 10, Tyson Bass.
Here's Tyson Bass for Boone up next, who was part of the Nadir Lewis-Tyson Bass combo that both hit 2 home runs against the HiToms. First time these 2 teams played. First pitch to Bass. Fastball right by his bat. It's strike 1.
This season, Bass has loved playing against the HiToms, and he's been a threat for the Bigfoots as well.
0-1 on Tyson Bass with Braden Simpson at first base. Here's the stretch delivery on the upper part of the zone. Strike 2 on a fastball. Bass not a huge fan of that call as he bends a little bit backwards, but he's down in the count. 0-2 to Jay Dill. Shakes off 2 more signs from Josh Karen, and then nods his head yes. Stretch pitch on the way. Pitch is fouled off into the netting as Simpson was taking off for second. Oh, 0-2 on Tyson Bass with Braden Simpson at first base. 1 out. Here's the 0-2 delivery. It's outside. Ball 1. 1-2 on Bass. Dill is set. Here's his 1-2 pitch. It's fouled off down the first base line. Dill in 2022 for Clemson had a 2-2 record with a 5.45 ERA and 28 appearances with only one start, and now getting quite a few starts for the HiToms. Another 1-2 pitch, fouled off just barely, and back behind the plate. Just got a piece of the pitch on the inside corner. And the most recent year at Clemson for Dill, he pitched in 11 games, 3 starts, 8.47 ERA. 1-2 pitch, Simpson takes off for second, swing and a miss, strike 3, throw down to second is not in time, so Tyson Bass strikes out swinging, but stealing second is Braden Simpson, which was the 3rd out of the inning, in fact.
At the bottom of the first, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base.
I do wonder what happened there. AJ, do you have something?
Yeah, I'm just as confused because Tyson Bass was the 3rd guy in the batting order, and as far as I know, his strikeout would have been the 2nd out. So I'm guessing Simpson was called out at second. There's no confusion on the field, so the only explanation I would have with Braden Simpson would have been called out at second.
Braden Simpson looked like he was safe
Yeah.
at second,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, but the inning ends on the Tyson Bass strikeout, and then Simpson gets out somehow on the base pass. That was the 3rd batter of the inning, which is the minimum you're going to face, no matter what. But either way, it's 1-0 HiToms as we go into the top of the 2nd inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Welcome back to the bottom of the 2nd inning. We did figure out what happened in the bottom of the 1st. AJ, it was a batter's interference by Tyson Bass after striking out swing, got in the way of Josh Caron's throw. So that is how Braden Simpson was out on the base pass.
Definitely wasn't the most obvious batter's interference because both of us, we just didn't see anything at all. But that would make it a valid explanation for where those 3 outs came from.
So J.D. Suarez takes the first pitch inside, ball 1. J.D. Suarez hitting in the 6th spot today. Here's the 1-0 delivery. It's in for a strike from Walker Case. Back for a 2nd inning of work. Had a little bit of trouble in the top of the 1st, allowed 2 hits. A stolen base. And allowed the 1 run. Next pitch, it's a breaking ball. It rides inside on the right-hander J.D. Suarez, so it's 2-1. 2-1 on J.D. Suarez. Walker Case working out of the windup. Will set to the belt and fire the pitch. J.D. Suarez hits that deep into right field. Tyson Bass is going back. A few steps in front of the warning track. He makes the catch for a loud out number 1.
Now batting number 12, Juan Correa.
Next up for the HiToms, it's Juan Correa. Will be the designated hitter for the Tommies tonight. And the HiToms are looking to get production up and down their lineup. Here's the first pitch to Correa. Chopped on the ground to third base. Braden Simpson makes the play, throws over to first in time to retire Correa. So Braden Simpson takes it off of a couple of large hops, and then the tricky short hop, and throws it over to Caden Wagner at first for 2 quick outs for Walker Case. Jake Coonan will be next up for the HiToms against Walker Case, looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Here's the first pitch to Coonan. A breaking ball is inside. It's ball 1. 2 outs here in the top of the second. HiToms lead 1-0 over the Bigfoots. Walker Case is set and will deliver the 1-0 pitch. It's fouled off down the first base line. Bigfoots in their white jerseys with Bigfoots in the chest across the center with black pants. HiToms in their navy uniforms. Red numbers and white lettering. Next pitch to Coonan. It's low. It's 2-1. And HiToms in white pants with blue socks with red and white stripes. 2-1 pitch from Case on the way. It's chopped on the ground to second base. Kai Wagner will back up, field, and fire over to his brother Caden to retire the side. So a 1-2-3 inning from Walker Case. We head into the bottom of the second. HiToms still lead 1-0. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Welcome back to Boone, North Carolina. HiToms lead 1-0 over the Bigfoots in the 7th matchup out of the 8 times the HiToms will play Boone this year. HiToms so far 1-5 in those matchups. Did pick up a win in the 3-game series on June the 30th, but then lost the games on July 1st and July 2nd as the first pitch is fouled off by Caden Wagner. Will be in the cleanup spot for Boone. 0-1 pitch to Wagner. It's in for a strike on a fastball. Wagner's had an interesting journey. Currently plays baseball in Northern Colorado and started in 24 games for the Bears and played in 35 of them. As that pitch is fouled back, it stays at 2 strikes.
And Adam, in those 6 matchups this season between those two teams, the Bigfoots have put 52 runs up against the HiToms. Just shows their dominance they've had on the base pads.
So it's 0-2, and Dill is set to deliver to Wagner. It's in the turf. It's 1-2. Wagner this most recent season hit .304 and a limited number of at-bats, 14 for 46. But right near a 400 on-base percentage. 1-2 pitch from Dill. It's outside. It's 2-2. Two and 2 on Wagner. Dill will take a step and fire. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Into the turf on the breaking ball. Drop third strike. Karen throws down to Spike to retire Wagner.
Now batting number 37, Max Weller.
Max Weller is up next for the Bigfoots. Jay Dill so far has faced the minimum number of hitters, even though in a non-traditional way, with batter's interference. First pitch into Weller. It's a strike on the inside corner.
Yeah, didn't have to do too much to get the third out, or the second one, however you want to put it.
Yeah, here's the 0-1 pitch to Weller. It just catches the outside corner. So it's 0-2 on Weller, and Jay Dill is dealing right now and getting ahead of batters. J. Dill already ready in the windup and will fire the 0-2 pitch. It goes high. It's 1-2 with 1 out in the bottom of the second. HiToms lead 1-0. J. Dill will set and deliver the 1-2 pitch. It's in the turf. It's 2-2. J. Dill working very quickly in between pitches. Is right back into the windup. Takes his sidestep and fires the 2-2. Once again, it bounces in the turf. It's 3-2 to Max Weller. Dill's been able to go deep into his last 2 starts, mainly because the pitch count has been pretty low. Here's the full count delivery. It's in the turf, ball 4, and Max Weller is aboard on a walk. Now up in the lineup for Boone will be Rogue Wallace, who's the designated hitter for Boone today. Seen a lot of switch-ups between both these lineups when they play each other. First pitch is a fastball. That's outside, ball 1. So Wagner strikes out swinging to start the inning, and Weller is aboard on a walk. After J. Dill was at 0-2 in the count, takes a check back on Weller. He's back in, and plenty of time. 1-0 on Rogue Wallace, the left-handed hitter. Here's the pitch. It's fouled off. And just to the left of us, I remember the game, one of the first games of the year, we had a ball that landed about 20 feet from us. A very small green tree. But that one was way further away, although it had the right trajectory.
Still hoping for a foul ball.
Absolutely. Why not? Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Fastball on the outside corner and elevated. Got Wallace to swing right through it. 1-2 on Rogue Wallace. 1 out and the runner on first, Max Weller. J. Dill's 1-2 delivery out of the stretch is upstairs. It's 2-2. And we'll see how aggressive Boone's going to be on the bases. Last time they got a runner on, Braden Simpson tried to steal second, but was called out on a batter's interference by Tyson Bass.
Yeah, Boone's always been really aggressive on the base pads when they've played the HiToms this year, and they've been rather successful.
2-2 pitch out of the stretch. A little bit low, and it's a full count. Back-to-back batters that J. Dill will face with the full count. 3-2 on Wallace. Here's Dill's delivery. It's lined on a hop to Andrew Fernandez, who can't make the play. It's in the right field, and it will be ruled something, but Wallace is on first base as Weller advances to third.
Yeah, the turf, unfortunately, there got Andrew Fernandez. Just didn't read that one right. Took a wicked bounce right in front of him, and it bounced right over him. And it's a base hit, but that one could be ruled as an error.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too indecisive whether to catch it on a line or try to field it. But once you get that tough hop off the turf, it's not like dirt. That thing is going to fly, and it went all the way into right field where Rowan Watt had to collect it. So it's now runners on the corners with 1 out, and we'll see what it will be ruled. But either way, first and third with 1 out, and the first pitch to Wagner. It's inside, ball 1. Kai Wagner plays his college ball at Utah. And here is the 1-0 pitch. Runner takes off for second. Pitch is fouled behind the third base line. So Rogue Wallace trying to take off for second. Maybe to force a throw down by the HiToms and try to tie the game. As Weller's on third base. Wallace on first base. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Catches the outside corner on the upper part of the zone. Strike 2. 1-2 to Kai Wagner. J. Dillon, much need of a strikeout. Wallace will take off for second. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Throw down a second. It's in time. It's a double play to end the inning. J. Dill, elevated fastball, got Kai Wagner to chase out of the zone. The throw down to second was in time to get Rogue Wallace, who was a little bit hesitant, and that will make it 3 outs in the inning. So HiToms have found 2 unique ways to get out of an inning, but either way, the HiToms still maintain the 1-run lead, 1-0, as we head into the third. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Andrew Fernandez will lead off the top of the third inning for the High Point-Thomasville HiToms. We're on top 1-0 over the Boone Bigfoots here in Boone, North Carolina. Walker Case on the mound for his third inning of work. Paints the first pitch. It's a fastball on the outside corner. 0-1 on Andrew Fernandez. Here comes the 0-1 delivery. It bounces well short of the plate. It's 1-1. The play in the bottom of the second ended up being ruled to err on Andrew Fernandez at second base. But the HiToms got to strike him out, throw him out to end off the inning. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Fernandez. It's fouled off and out of play behind home plate. So it's 1-2 on Andrew Fernandez. No outs here in the top of the third. HiToms out hitting the Bigfoots 2-1. And the 1 error is charged to the HiToms. Breaking ball is hit down the first base line, where Caden Wagner will collect and step on the bag himself for a softly hit ground ball for out number 1 of the inning.
Now batting number 1, Kane Kepley.
So 3 unassisted on a ground up brings up the top of the lineup for the HiToms. And Kane Kepley, who's scored the only run of this game so far when he walked back in the first inning. As here's his first pitch. It's away on the pitch from Walker Case. Ended up stealing second and then advancing to third on the air by the catcher, Blake Hale. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's outside ball 2. Of course, that was maybe just ruled extra stolen base for Kepley.
It looks as though that's the way they're calling it, but you could definitely consider that an error as well.
Yeah, the throw went off the glove and into center field. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Kepley, who's swinging, hits it down the third base line, tailing foul, although it was hit pretty well, a couple hundred feet at least, out into the outfield. And after Kepley got on third, he got knocked in by Rowan Watt on an RBI single. Watt will wait on deck, but here's the 2-1 pitch to Kepley, in on his hands and fouled off a light pole and right back onto the field behind home plate. Two and 2 to Kane Kepley. Walker Case looking to get a much important out. And Kane Kepley, here's the 2-2 pitch, driven down the third base line. Foul again. That one hit even further than the first foul ball down the third base line.
Kane Kepley can definitely hit a home run out towards left field. He's hit 2 balls that have soared down the left field line just foul.
So still 2 strikes on Kane Kepley. 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball is taken low. It's 3-2. Kane Kepley just has a really good eye, AJ. It's a full count on Kane Kepley. Walker Case set and the windup. Here's his delivery. Just outside. Ball 4. Kane Kepley's aboard with his second walk of the game. The only 2 walks the HiToms have drawn have both been from the leadoff man, Kane Kepley.
And you say it's so much with Kane Kepley, but he does the job as a leadoff position, getting on base. And now in this case, in this game, Rowan Watt was able to get him home.
So here's Rowan Watt. Kane Kepley's on first base. And already a throw over to first. Kepley's back in time. And you're thinking the HiToms got to have a similar play on with Kepley to try to steal second. But Case taking a good look at Kepley, who has a pretty good lead at first base. Kepley takes off for second. Pitches inside, throw down a second. Will not be in time. It's another stolen base from Kane Kepley. A pitch that rode inside. Hale had to deliver a little bit awkwardly and couldn't get enough mustard on the throw to get Kepley at second. So another runner in scoring position for Rowan Watt. 1-0 on Watt. Here's the pitch. Pitch is taken high. It's 2-0. So Kane Kepley is now on second base with 1 out in the top of the third. Rowan Watt looking to knock in both runs in this game. Pretty big hole through the right side with Kai Wagner shading towards Kepley at second base. Here's the 2-0 delivery. It's hit foul right off of the inside part of Rowan Watt's leg. Two and 1 to Rowan Watt with 1 out. And the HiToms looking to add to their very slim lead, 1-0. Case takes a look back at Kepley, delivers to the plate. Pitch is on the outside corner, strike 2. A breaking ball that just caught the lower part of the zone and right off the outside corner. Two and 2 on Watt with Walker Case working out of the stretch. Walker Case will come set. And here's the 2-2 delivery. It's hit to third base. Bat is broken. It's by the third baseman, Braden Simpson. So it's a softly hit ball, but maybe Braden Simpson was distracted by the broken bat by Rowan Watt, as that bat was shattered about 10 feet in front of home plate down the third base line. So Kepley advances to third as the ball took a bounce and went right by Braden Simpson, who didn't even get a glove on it. So Rowan Watt's aboard with what probably will be ruled a hit, and it's Jack Spike at the plate with 1 out. Jack Spike's first pitch is caught on a line. Kai Wagner with a great grab going back to his left for the second out.
And for the HiToms, you love the way they're hitting the ball here early, and that was just a great grab by Kai Wagner out at second. But even going back to Rowan Watt's hit, it wasn't that hard, but that bat still exploded, and I do think maybe that could have distracted some of the Bigfoot players.
So that brings up Josh Karen after Jack Spike lines out to the second baseman, Kai Wagner. Rowan Watt takes off for second, pitches inside. Karen will slide into second, but there was no throw made, so Josh Karen picks up a stolen bag, and the HiToms have 2 in scoring position for Josh Karen, who had a base hit his first at-bat. Walker Case still looking at Kepley at third. 0-1 pitch. It's on the outside corner, strike 2 with 2 outs.
It's kind of been roles reversed for in this game thus far. We're used to seeing the Bigfoots run around the base pads and steal bases, but thus far it's been the HiToms.
Here's the 0-2 pitch from Case. It's head out into right field, tailing away towards the first base line. Tyson Bass is able to get it in fair territory to make the catch to retire the side. So the HiToms strand 2 in scoring position, but they still lead 1-0 as we head into the last half of the third inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Blake Hale will be the first hitter for Boone here in the bottom of the third at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Blake Hale will be catching for Boone tonight, and here's his first pitch he sees from Dill. It's a little bit low on a fastball, 1-0 from Jay Dill, who just pitched his 40th pitch of the game. Here's the 1-0 delivery to Hale. It's hit softly on the ground at Andrew Fernandez at second, who fields and fires on to first for a pretty easy first out of the inning. Here's Carlos Amasquita, who is one of 2 All-Stars in the lineup for Boone, the other being Tyson Bass. Here's Amasquita's first pitch that he sees. It's hit softly down the third base line and foul right into the coach's box. And Amasquita's been one of the players for Boone who have really bugged the HiToms as that pitch is on the outside corner. It's 0-2.
And especially when he's got on base, HiToms have had a real problem keeping him at the base he gets to because he's so dangerous with the speed he has on the base paths.
Here's the 0-2 delivery from Dill on the way. It's lined off down the third base line and foul. And that's another reason to try to not walk a batter, because you put that speed on the base pass and it can really wreak havoc. Jay Dill will step towards home, deliver the 0-2 pitch that's in the turf. So far, Jay Dill has thrown 30 strikes and 14 balls. So a pretty good mix. Jay Dill, 1-2 pitch. Just inside on a beautiful breaking ball. That just missed the zone inside on the lefty Amasquita. A rocker step and a 2-2 fire. It's popped up down the third base line, heading foul and out of play. So it stays 2-2 on Carlos Amasquita with 1 out here in the bottom of the third. HiToms lead 1-0. Dill delivers the 2-2 pitch. It's hit down the third base line and fouls. That one was hit pretty well, about a few feet short of home run distance.
This season, Amasquita has 5 stolen bases against the HiToms, including 3 in one game.
Here's Dill's 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3, a breaking ball that dropped low and out of the zone, gets Amasquita to chase for the second out of the inning and the third strikeout from Jay Dill. And that's one way to not let Amasquita's speed get on, is strike him out. Here's Will Durrell and the top of the lineup for Boone. Will Durrell flew out to shortstop as Suarez was in center field when he made the catch. First pitch to Durrell is a fastball on the outside corner, strike 1. And Dill has been dealing so far with 2 outs in the bottom of the third. He's allowed just 1 hit and 1 walk. So that pitch is fouled off down the third base line. And the third runner who reached was on an error by Andrew Fernandez at second base. 0-2 to Durrell. Here's the pitch. The fastball's inside from Dill. It's 1-2. Dill already set on the mound. 2 heels in front of it. A sidestep and a 1-2 fire. It's hit into right field. Rowan Watt coming on. He leaps up. He makes a nice catch in right field, right near the warning track in right center field to retire the side. So Jay Dill, a 1-2-3 inning. And he so far has kept Boone off the scoreboard. 1-0 HiToms as we head into the 4th inning. You're tuned into HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network.
And we welcome you back between the HiToms and Boone Bigfoots. HBT currently has a 1-0 lead over Boone. It's Don Pololi up to bat for the HiToms. Pololi struck out looking his first time up, and he looks at a ball. Still Walker Case stealing for the Bigfoots. He's only allowed that 1 run through 3 innings. He kicks and deals to Pololi. That one again swings on the outside, so it's a 2-0 count just starting the top of the 4th in a 1-0 HiToms lead. The 2-0 is just high for a ball, so hitter's count here for Pololi, who is currently batting 189. He's been walked 16 times. It'll be a 3-0 from Case. It's hit up in the air by Pololi. Running onto it is Caden Wagner. He's going to look at it, and he will be unable to make the grab. It looked as though he had a read on it all the way towards the foul line down the right field line, but couldn't come up with the grab as it takes a big hop off the turf and out of play.
And Pololi got very lucky there. 3-0 swinging on a pitch that was up and out of the zone. Not something you see too often, but a bit overzealous.
Pololi out of NC State. Also spent time at Charlotte. Finds himself in a 3-1 count here. Case will fire in that 3-1, and it's called for a strike. So now a full count for Pololi, who at Charlotte, his freshman year got cut short because of COVID. And then going into his sophomore year, he dealt with kidney problems, and there was a scare that he wouldn't play. Full count pitch here is hit out and into foul territory once again towards right field by Pololi. So there was worry that he wouldn't play, and then when he was cleared to play for Charlotte, he suffered a really bad knee injury trying to field a ball in right field, and he had to get surgery and rehab and then transfer to NC State, where he played really well in his first year at NC State, batted .261, another payoff pitches on the outside, and he's aboard with a walk, so 1 on, nobody out for the HiToms, and J.D. Suarez coming up to bat.
Yeah, and Pololi is back and healthy, which is a good thing for not only the HiToms, but him as a person.
So now it'll be the all-star J.D. Suarez for the HiToms. He'll go to work on Case with his teammate Pololi over at first. Case fires and delivers. That one just cuts low on the outside for a ball. J.D. flew out to right field his first time up back in the 2nd inning. The 1-0 is hit foul behind home plate by Suarez.
And I feel like with the way the HiToms are swinging the bats, this could be a big scoring game for them because they've been able to get runners on.
JD this season's batting .247. He's got 6 RBIs, 2 home runs to go along with it. Looks at another pitch for a ball, so he sits in a 2-1 count. Nobody out for the HiToms, and Don Pololi over at first. Case tosses in the 2-1. It's again hit up and foul, so a lot of foul balls here from the HiToms in this 4th inning, and definitely is not helping Walker Case's pitch count.
And the more you see pitches, the advantage goes to the batter.
2-2 delivery from Case is hit on by J.D. Suarez, gets past the infield and out towards right field. Tyson Bass struggles at first to collect it. He throws over to second, but it's a base hit for J.D. Suarez, and it puts Don Pololi over at third. So men on the corners for the HiToms, and Juan Correa coming up to bat.
That was a hit and run to perfection for the HiToms as J.D. Suarez guided the ball through where Kai Wagner was standing, but when he went to cover second with Pololi taking off, it left a gaping hole through the right side of the infield, which Suarez took advantage of.
Correa grounded out in a 5-3 back in the 2nd. He's got no outs, 2 on for the HiToms, and a big opportunity with just a narrow 1-run lead for HPT. Case kicks, delivers. It's hit on by Correa right over to the shortstop. He throws to second and to first for 2 outs. So just like that, there's 2 outs, but another run able to score for the HiToms to make it a 2-0 game. Don Plawley able to cross home plate. So it's 2-0 now with Jake Coonan coming up to bat.
And that's a play I think the HiToms would have liked for J.D. Suarez to try to take second before a ball was hit on the ground so you can avoid the double play ball.
Coonan's first look at it one. He gets contact. It's hit right into the glove to Case. He underhand tosses to Wagner at first. So that ends the inning, but it's another inning that ends with a HiToms run. They go up 2-0. The Bigfoot Bats will be back up in the bottom half of the 4th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back to Jimmy and Betty Smith Stadium here in Boone, North Carolina. It's the Bigfoots and HiToms dueling it out for the 7th time this year. HiToms currently have a 2-0 lead on Boone as Braden Simpson will get things going. Jay Dale still on the mound for the HiToms. He's been dealing thus far as Simpson fouls one back towards the HiToms dugout. Dill went 1-2-3 back in the 3rd on this Bigfoots lineup. The 0-1 sinks low for a ball, so sticks on the scoreboard with no outs, just starting the bottom of the 4th in a 2-0 game. Dill kicks, fires in the 1-1, check swing from Simpson, makes it's a 2-1 count. Simpson got a base hit back in the 1st, and we thought he stole 2nd, but Tyson Bass interfered on the throw, so he was out over at 2nd. As the 2-1 nearly hit Simpson, and looks as though it did just clip him. So he will be aboard for the 2nd time over at 1st, this time via the hit by pitch.
And the first leadoff runner that Boone has gone aboard in this game. And now you're wondering how much this Boone team tries to run.
In the past, they've liked to run on the HiToms, and they've done it with great success as it's Tyson Bass now batting for the Bigfoots and his teammate Braden Simpson over at 1st. Simpson had a lead as Bass swings and misses for an 0-1 count with no outs. Here in the bottom of the 4th, HiToms lead 2-0. Bass this season batting .302. He's behind 0-1 right now. That one shoots just in the inside for our home plate umpire, so it's an 0-2 count for Tyson Bass. Bass leads the team with 7 extra base hits and 5 home runs. He's got a man on 1st right now as Dill throws back over to 1st. Simpson comfortably safe sliding in. Jack Spike making the catch at 1st base. Dill takes another look over at 1st. Now delivers from the belt. It's hit right towards the right field area. Rowan Watts running onto it, but it'll be a base hit for Tyson Bass in an 0-2 count. So 2 on, no outs for the Bigfoots, and Caden Wagner coming up to bat.
And that time, Jay Dill tried to quick pitch Tyson Bass.
So he really just got set and then threw the ball nearly immediately. So Bass had nothing to do but try to hit that ball into right field because he was so late on it.
Wagner struck out his first time up in the second inning. He's got 2 on, no outs as Dill delivers to him, and it's put on the outside for ball 1. Braden Simpson over at second, Tyson Bass at first for Boone. They trail 2-0 over HPT. Dill takes a look at second, then kicks and fires in the pitch. It's fouled back into the netting by Caden Wagner. The 1-1 from Dill is just touching the outside corner, so 2-1 count now, no outs, 2 on for Boone. Dill gets the sign from Karen, looks over at second, takes another peek, and now delivers the 2-1, and it goes for a strike, so 2-2 count for Caden Wagner.
And we've seen Boone pull it off before, but a double steal attempt is certainly in play for the Bigfoots.
Max Weller in the on-deck circle for Boone. But first, it's Caden Wagner in a 2-2 count. Dill takes a long look at second, fires in the 2-2, and it's struck foul by Wagner out of play towards right field. Both runners have leads at their respected bases. Fernandez checks in at second. The delivery from Dill shoots on the outside. Good grab by Josh Karen to prevent it from getting away from him. So full count now for Caden Wagner. Payoff pitch from Dill is hit foul again in right field by Wagner. So he stays alive in a 3-2 count, no outs, 2 on for Boone. Big spot here for both teams and a narrow 2-0 lead for the HiToms. Braden Simpson at second, Tyson Bass over at first, and Dill was thinking about throwing over to second, but then opts not to. And I'll go back to focus on another payoff delivery to Caden Wagner. Few looks at second. The delivery is scooped up into center field. It's high in the air. Andrew Fernandez is looking up onto it, and he is able to make the grab for the first out. That ball was skyrocketed into the Boone air, but Fernandez is able to get a glove onto it.
And most importantly for the HiToms, keeps the runners at first and second. And I would be shocked if Boone isn't really aggressive on the base pass right now. Because right now, Jay Dill is not even at 70 pitches. And you want to at least get some runs off him.
Max Weller now batting for Boone. Dill delivers to him, goes right down the middle, called for a strike, so he's behind 0-1 with now 1 out, 2 on still for the Bigfoots, and Max Weller batting. Dill kicks, fires in the 0-1. It bounces in the turf, and Adam, both runners are able to advance.
I mean, they were ready for anything that goes in the turf. Boone was ready to run, and that pitch skipped down the third base line far enough for both the runners to easily advance. But you take out the double play, and you have 2 runners in scoring position.
One's across the scoreboard for Max Weller. Dill now looking at third, delivers the 1-1. It's put in for a strike, so 1-2 count now for Weller. Weller this season batting .269, has 4 extra base hits and 7 RBIs. Boone could do with 1 here. He looks at that pitch, called for a strike, so he goes down on strikes looking at the last one. So now 2 outs for the Bigfoots with Rogue Wallace coming up to bat.
And a giant strikeout. As now the HiToms don't have to be worried about throwing home at all if it's in the infield.
So Rogue Wallace, who got a base hit his first time up, then got caught stealing, He goes to work with 2 on, 2 outs. Delivery from Dill is chopped right in front of him. Dill's got a glove on it. He tosses over to first, and Jack Spike gets the third out. The Bigfoots leave 2 on base, and it's still a 2-0 game. We head to the 5th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network.
HiToms add a run. Add a run in the inning. Got a whole lot of notifications. Oh, wait a minute. Mom's about to look back at 3, 2, 1. There it is. Classic. This might be a new pitcher.
Nah, it's Walker Case, 18, right?
Oh, he's still there.
Yeah.
It looked like him.
What's his pitch count?
It is at. The thing is, you can't do it and see it until the pitcher. Oh
Yeah.
no, 73.
Okay.
Usually it doesn't show up until you throw the first. Are you ready?
Yeah. And we welcome you back between the HiToms and Boone Bigfoots. Walker Case still dealing for the Bigfoots. He's now at 72 pitches. He deals to Andrew Fernandez for a strike. So Fernandez goes behind 0-1. HiToms still have a narrow 2-0 lead over these Bigfoots. Next one is hit on by Fernandez right out to center field. Going back is Caden Wagner, and he's able to make the grab, backtracking all the way to center field. So there's one away for the HiToms here in the top of the 5th inning. So it brings up the top of the order, and Kane Kepley, who's had a strong start to this one. He's reached base both times off of walks. Kay steals to Kepley, and it goes low on the corner for ball 1. And with Wilverdung being drafted yesterday, it means Kane Kepley got the nod in the All-Star team as he puts one foul towards left field. So he replaces reserved All-Star nod for Kane, batting .329. Stolen bases he's got today. He's up to 15 now, as he's ahead in the count 2-1 here with 1 out, nobody on for the HiToms. Kay steals. That one just skims high. So 3-1 count here for Kane Kepley as he looks to reach base for the 3rd time today. The 3-1 is chopped fouled backwards by Kepley. He's in a full count here with 1 out. Payoff delivery from Case is high, so Kane Kepley is aboard for the 3rd time today off a walk.
He just makes the pitcher throw a lot of pitches, and it's worn down Case a little bit. 3 out of the 4 walks have gone to the leadoff man, Kane Kepley.
Up steps Rowan Watt, and it's been a good Top of the order for the HiToms. Kane Kepley's reached base 3 times, and so too has Rowan Watt. He's got an RBI and a base hit in this one. He's got Kane Kepley over at first, and Case throws over to first. Kepley slides in. It's Caden Wagner guarding Kepley over at first base, but as expected, Kane Kepley's got a nice lead there at first with Rowan Watt batting. Kepley's on the move. Rowan Watt gets contact on the bat. It's out to left field. It takes a bounce in front of Will Durrell. And there's 2 aboard for the HiToms with 1 out. Will Durrell didn't quite have the read on that one. I think he thought it was going further than it did. It took a bounce right in front of him, and Rowan Watt has reached base 3 times today.
Yeah, and Kane Kepley possibly could have gotten doubled off, but Will Durrell, if he made that catch, he has a shot to double off Kane Kepley at first base. Instead, it's first and second with 1 out.
Jack Spike now batting for the HiToms. Case delivers to Spike. He swings and misses. Fastball working there for Walker Case. Kane Kepley's over at second. Rowan Watt at first. HiToms have a 2-0 lead over the Bigfoots. The 0-1 from Case is placed on the outside for a ball, so one's across the scoreboard here in Boone, North Carolina. Approaching the 8 o'clock hour, blue skies still out. HiToms feeling the blues right now as the 1-1 is again on the outside. So Spike goes ahead 2-1. Spike has struck out and flew out in this one thus far. Look over at second. Now the delivery is put low into the catcher's mitt. 3-1 count and a big opportunity for the HiToms to open that lead up.
And this is a pitch, if you're Walker Case, you got to have a strike here, and Jack Spike probably knows that he'll be ready to swing on 3-1.
Here comes the 3-1. It goes high, and the bases are loaded for the HiToms with the cleanup man, Josh Karen, up to bat. And now the infield converging on the pitcher's mound, and so does Blake Hale and the Bigfoots manager, as it looks as though we could get a pitching change here, and I believe we will. So Walker Case looked dominant at times with the fastball at him, but at the end of the day, he was just allowing too many guys on base for the HiToms.
Yeah, the walks really hurt him, and there's a long discussion on the mound. So you're wondering if Case is talking himself into staying in this game.
Perhaps, as it looks as though he is going to stay in this game. I thought for sure they'd substitute him out, but perhaps Case gave a valiant speech to his manager to keep him going. He only has 1 out here in the top of the 5th. So he'll go to work on Josh Karen with the bases loaded. It's Kane Kepley at third, Rowan Watt at second, and Jack Spike over at first. Karen got a base hit back in the first inning. Delivery from Case is on the outside for a ball.
And that was the 88th pitch as well. I don't think he would go that much longer.
Bases loaded for the HiToms, 1 out. Next one from Case is hit on by Josh Karen. It's out to center field. Running onto it is Caden Wagner, and he's able to make the grab for the 2nd out. But tagging is Kane Kepley for the 3rd run of this one. So it's a 3-0 HiToms lead now.
Now, unfortunately for Josh Karen, we are not playing at Finch Field because that ball would have easily cleared the left center field fence. But it's about 385 out to left center and 400 out to straightaway center. But it was a very loud out, but I'm sure Walker Case will take that result.
So now it's Don Paloli up to bat. He was walked back in the 4th and was able to score. Delivery from Case. Check swing from Paloli is called for a strike. He goes behind 0-1 with now 2 outs. Men on the corners for the HiToms. Rowan Watts over at third. And Jack Spike still over at first base. J.D. Suarez in the on-deck circle if he gets a chance here in this top of the fifth. Case fires in the next one. It's steamed out into foul territory towards right field and out of play. So Palali now in a 0-2 count with 2 outs. And Walker Case now into the 90 pitch area. Palali's ready to go, so too is Case. 0-2's tossed in, and it goes low, and Blake Hale lost control of it for a moment, but no damage is done on the base pads for the HiToms. The 1-2 is placed just low of the strike zone, so a 2-2 count and a good recovery by Don Palali after falling behind 0-2 with 2 outs. Two on for the HiToms and a 2-2 count for Don Palali. The delivery is hit by Palali. It's up in the air. Will Durrell's looking up onto it, and he is able to collect it for the third out. The HiToms get one more run. They push the lead to 3-0. We'll head to the bottom half of the fifth. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back between the HiToms and Boone Bigfoots. HBT has a 3-0 lead with J. Dale in control of this Bigfoots batting order thus far. He's only allowed 2 hits. And we'll face the bottom of the Bigfoots order, starting with Kai Wagner as he fouls one straight back into the netting. Wagner from Utah, he redshirted his first season there. And as we've alluded to, he's got his brother Caden on the team as well. The kick from Dill is right on the outside. Good grab by Josh Karen. 1-1 count for Kai Wagner, just beginning this bottom of the fifth. The 1-1 is in the same spot as the last pitch on the outside corner, so 2-1 count for Kai Wagner, whose only plate appearance was a strikeout. Blake Hale waiting aboard on the on-deck circle. The 2-1 is hit on by Wagner, but deep into foul territory. It'll be a 2-2 from Dill. This one again is hit into left field, but fouled back towards the trees.
And from the start of this game, Jay Dill, his fastball, has had great command.
Gets on the same page with his pitcher, Karen, and Karen receives it outside of the strike zone. So a full count now for Kai Wagner with no outs here in the bottom of the fifth. In the second to last meeting between these two West Division foes. Payoff pitch from Dill is hit, looped over Andrew Fernandez at second base, and Kai Wagner has himself a base hit. Brings up Blake Hale and grounded out back in the third inning. He's got no outs. Kai Wagner over at first. Hale looks at a first delivery from Dill way on the outside for ball one. Dill throws over to first into the glove of Jack Spike. Kai Wagner comfortably safe sliding in. Wagner has a lead at first base. Dill this time delivers the pitch, and it goes high for a ball. Hitters count here for Blake Hale. Dill takes a peek at first. Delivers from the belt. Hale doesn't opt to swing, and he goes ahead 3-0 in the count.
And the 1-0 and 2-0 pitches nearly identical. A fastball that was just a bit too high, and Blake Hale is up 3-0.
One on for the Bigfoots. The 3-0 is called for a strike. Dill gets back in command. Hale still ahead 3-1. Kai Wagner over at first. That's where Dill looks. It's a 3-1 delivery. It's lofted over to J.D. Suarez at shortstop, and the HiToms are able to get the double play. So good work from the infield as Suarez collected it, threw over to second, and Andrew Fernandez threw to Jack Spike at first for 2 outs, and Carlos Amasquita up to bat.
And that's what will certainly help your pitch count is a picture-perfect double play ball where J.D. Suarez just fields it off a hop. Doesn't get easier than that on a double play ball.
Amasquita's one plate appearance was a strikeout. He's got 2 outs here. Dill delivers to him, and he hits it into fair territory right to Jay Coonan, who throws to Jack Spike. And Jay Dill continues his strong performance. He goes 1-2-3 on the bottom of the Bigfoots order. The HiToms bats will be back up in the 6th inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back to Jim and Beth Smitty Stadium here in Boone, North Carolina. New pitcher on the bump for the Bigfoots. It's Nate McKissick. He will deal to J.D. Suarez, his first one to Suarez, and it hit him right on the foot as Suarez goes down to the turf. I believe that one clipped him on the foot. Maybe it was the elbow. It did take a bounce maybe off the turf onto his elbow, but either way, J.D. Suarez in some discomfort. That's not an ideal start for Nate McKissick as he pings J.D. Suarez in looks like the upper body.
But the good news for J.D. Suarez, another runner aboard for the HiToms, and he looks to stand near the first baseline, now walking past the first base bag.
He's got his hands on his head briefly and makes a sign over to McKissick and looks to be hopefully all right. J.D. Suarez, who's headed to the All-Star game for the HiToms.
Yeah, HiToms already replaced one of their players with Will Verdun getting drafted in the 13th round by the Braves. Kane Kepley will go to the All-Star game, substituting in for Verdun.
JD's got his helmet back on and he looks to be okay, so good news for the HiToms there. Now it's Juan Correa batting with 1 on, no outs, just starting the top of the 6th inning. McKissick's second pitch of this one is hit by Correa and collected by the right fielder Tyson Bass for the first out.
The HiToms have had some really good swings into the outfield, but unfortunately with the fence being so deep, a lot of them are not going to get down and also just have too much air under them. But really the HiToms are spraying the ball all over the field, which is definitely a positive sign.
So it's the Princeton man, Jake Coonan, now batting. Coonan's tied for the lead in RBIs on this team with Will Verdun with 15. He looks at a pitch there for a ball. In this one, he's grounded out twice. He's got J.D. Suarez over at first base with 1 out. McKissick deals to Coonan. It loops low on the corner for a ball. McKissick's next offering is over on the outside for another ball. Next one from McKissick goes high, so 2 aboard now for the HiToms with no outs, or excuse me, rather 1 out, and the bottom of the man, Andrew Fernandez, up to bat.
I mean, the HiToms have had runners all over the base pass, and this is the point of the game where you try to put a little bit of distance between yourselves and the Bigfoots.
McKissick on the year as Andrew Fernandez gets one high into the air right towards Caden Wagner in center field. He collects for the second out, and runners stay at second and first. So now 2 away for HBT. Fernandez opted to swing on his first look at a pitch from McKissick. And it goes right into the glove of Caden Wagner in center field. Top man in the order, Kane Kepley, up to bat. Kepley's reached base 3 times, and he fouls one back near us. And I don't know, Adam, it feels like each time it's getting closer and closer.
That time was pretty similar to the one we saw up here, just hit a little further, bounces off the fence. And a kid grabs it.
Next one from McKissick's on the outside, gets away from Blake Hall, and now Jake Coonan's going to be caught in a jam as the toss over to third, and it's J.D. Suarez now caught in a jam, and he is tagged out. So the HiToms runners got a little mixed up as Blake Hale lost control of it, and I believe J.D. Suarez and Jake Coonan thought that one was a little further out as Sean Stevens is in a little bit of displeasurement with his 2 runners, and they didn't quite read that one well. So it's an inning where the HiToms leave 2 aboard. They still lead 3-0. The Bigfoots will be back up to bat in the bottom of the 6th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back to the CPL matchup, West Division matchup between the HBT HiToms and Boone Bigfoots. It's Wacky Wednesday for the Bigfoots, as unfortunately they haven't had too much luck in this one thus far. They're down 3-0 in the bottom of the sixth. Jay Dill facing his 19th batter of the game with Will Durrell. It's the top of the Bigfoots order with Durrell, Simpson, and Bass all due up. Durrell ahead 1-0. Delivery from Dill is called for a strike, so a 1-1 count. No outs, just starting the bottom of the sixth here in Boone, North Carolina.
And Dill only at 87 pitches. Maybe thinking he can try to stretch this outing to 7.
That's exactly what the HiToms were hoping for, as the 1-1 is hit again into foul territory near us in the left field line area, out of play. So it's a 1-2 count now, and for the HiToms, with Dill looks to be going 7-6 innings, it's perfect because HiToms on a back-to-back. They got the Salamanders tomorrow, so less bullpen action the better, as this one is hit foul down the right field line. Count remains at 1-2. Will Durrell has flown out to shortstop and right field in his 2 plate appearances. Batting .276. Golfs one up into the air. Jake Coonan is looking up onto it, puts his glove in front of it, and makes the grab for the first out.
And although Dill hasn't been, ridiculously overpowering today just with 5 strikeouts, he's gotten so many balls with weak contact, either on the ground or in the air. That just made it super easy on the HiToms defense.
It's now Braden Simpson up to bat. He was hit by a pitch his last time up, and that one called for a strike near the outside part of the strike zone, so Simpson goes behind 0-1. Simpson kicks, and that one put foul by the batter, Simpson.
And Jay Dill has had some great outings, but this one could be one of those spectacular ones that you star as one of the HiToms' best starts of the season.
0-2 from Dill, placed high on the corner for ball 1. Nobody on for Boone and 1 out for Braden Simpson. Dill's 1-2 is grounded towards J.D. Suarez. He collects, launches it over to first for the second out. So Dill working right along this Boone order as he's done all day thus far. It's Tyson Bass, the all-star for the Bigfoots, coming up to bat. Dill places the delivery in for Bass. He swings and misses. A big swing and a miss from Tyson Bass.
I mean, the fastball from Dill has been electric from the very first pitch, and just been able to get it by batters, and that sets up his breaking stuff so well.
Two-out delivery from Dill is another swing and a miss by Bass. The fastball continues to be Dill's go-to delivery, and it's worked through 6 innings. Needs one more strike from Bass to end this 6th. Delivery from Dill is fouled off from Bass. Another 0-2 from Dill. A swing and a miss from Tyson Bass. Jay Dill is doing it all for the HiToms on the mound through 6. The Boone Bigfoots leave no runners on. They have no hits in the game. And it is a 3-0 HiToms lead. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back between the HiToms and Bigfoots. Now in the 7th inning as McKissick deals on the outside to Kane Kepley. Kane's had a great outing thus far. He's reached base every time as he puts one towards third base. The throw over to first is in time for the first out. So first time Kane Kepley's been put out. So it will be a new batter for the HiToms, Rowan Watt being replaced. And it's Nate Chrisman. So Chrisman coming in for Rowan Watt. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes up the HiToms outfield, because as far as I know, Chrisman does not play right field. Could be Jack Spike shifting over to right as McKissick's delivery goes high to Chrisman. But either way, for Rowan Watt, he was having a good day. It was 3 for 3, but giving McKissick a chance as he puts one out into center field. But it's looping right to Max Weller, and it's one of many grabs he's made out at center field tonight off of HiToms bats.
I mean, how many fly balls have there been to the outfield in this game? Just an absurd amount.
Quick 2 outs for the HiToms here in the top of the 7th, with Jack Spike coming up to bat. No one on for the HiToms. They lead 3-0 over the Boone Bigfoots. McKissick's delivery is looked at by Spike for a ball. "1-0 is again looked at by Spike, this time called for a strike. So Jack Spike's in a 1-1 count with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Next one from Spike is low for a ball. 2-1 count now. Spike lines one right towards the shortstop, and he throws over to Caden Wagner at first, and it's the 3rd out. So the HiToms go 1-2-3, and we move right along to the bottom of the 7th. HiToms still lead 3-0 over the Boone Bigfoots.
Welcome back to Jim and Betty Stadium on the campus of App State, where Jay Dill right now is dealing in a game. The HiToms lead 3-0. Dill's gone 6 innings pitched, allowed 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts, and will kick his leg and deliver the first pitch to Wagner. It's a little bit low, ball 1, but this is no stranger to Jay Dill pitching deep in ball games at all. As it's 1-0 to Wagner. Here comes the next delivery from Dill. It is inside, ball 2. rather it was a foul tip. A little half swing went right back to the backstop. So it's 1-1. J. Dill has gone 6 innings in an outing in his first start. In his last start, he went 8 innings pitched. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Wagner. Check swing, check down to first. He went around, and it's 1-2 on Caden Wagner. With no outs here in the bottom of the 7th. HiToms out-hitting the Bigfoots 5-3, but have not had much traffic on the bases as of recently. Dill will kick and fire his 1-2 pitch. Fouled off down the third base line. Well, temperature has dropped down to 72 degrees. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just a little bit low. It's 2-2 as they check down to first again. This time Wagner did not go around. But the temperature has dropped about 8 degrees since the start of game time. It's 6:30 Eastern time. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. It's away. It's 3-2 on Caden Wagner.
And with Rowan Watt being subbed out of this one, Nathan Chrisman does straight swap go into right field.
3-2 pitch, a rocker and a deliver from Dill. It's line. J.D. Suarez makes a sweet grab, spin and throw. Pulls Spike off the bag. It's an infield single from Caden Wagner. But J.D. Suarez made a terrific sliding stop behind second base. And spun around, but the throw was just off the mark. He had plenty of time to get Wagner. The throw was just a little bit off.
Excellent execution by J.D. Suarez at shortstop. The great grab, the turn, and almost feel like when he turned, he may have rushed it a little bit. That's what put the throw off.
And Caden Wagner is not the fastest guy either, but you certainly had time to possibly throw the ball a little more accurately. But either way, it's going to be ruled infield single, and Max Weller takes a first pitch strike on the outside corner. So Caden Wagner is on first after his leadoff hit. It's 0-1 on Max Weller. Dill will take a look to first and deliver the breaking ball pitch. It's chopped up the middle. J.D. Suarez has it, steps on second for one, on to first. It's a double play. 6-3 double play, and it's the third time this evening the HiToms have turned two.
Well, J.D. Suarez able to redeem himself after putting that first throw over to first a little off. Gets the double play. Now there's 2 outs for the HiToms.
So the leadoff single is erased by some more great HiTom defense, and it brings up Rogue Wallace with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Here's J. Dill's pitch. It's outside, ball 1. That was the 108th pitch J. Dill has thrown in this game. Dill back in the windup. Will kick his leg. 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. A breaking ball that rode too far inside on Wallace for him to touch. 1-1. A sidestep and a 1-1 fire on the inside corner. Strike 2 on a fastball. 1-2, 2 outs. J. Dill looking to complete 7 scoreless against the Boone Bigfoots. The 1-2 delivery on the way. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. J. Dill's 7th strikeout. He's through 7 scoreless. And a masterpiece of an outing from one of the best HiTom starts they've had all season long. 3-0 HiToms as we head into the 8th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. back here on Boone, North Carolina, top of the 8th inning. Nate McKissick still on the mound for Boone, ready for his 3rd inning of work. First pitch is inside to Josh Karen, who's had a single and also had a sacrifice fly and picked up a run batted in. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Karen. It's on the outside corner, strike 1, but for the HiToms, it's been a one-man crew so far on the mound. It's Jay Dill going 7 innings so far, allowing 3 hits, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts, and allowed no runs. That's softly tapped back to McKissick, who throws over to first. It goes 1-3 on a soft couple of bounces to the pitcher for the first out of the top of the 8th. But AJ, I mean, you gotta think there's a discussion whether Jay Dill's going to go out for this 8th inning.
Yeah, his pitch count is high, but, I mean, he eliminates the walks, as you were saying over the break. He is a dominant guy because all he does is throw strikes.
First pitch to Dom Palali is inside, ball 1. Just 1 walk in the game and has allowed 3 hits and a couple other base runners. And that's been it. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Palali. It's on the inside corner, strike 3, even though it was not caught by the catcher, Blake Hale.
And looking at the HiToms dugout, which is all the way out in right field, HiToms pitching coach Eric Owens just took the trot down there, so you wonder what kind of conversations he's having down there.
1-1 pitch to Palali. It's on the inside corner, strike 2, and I remember asking Jay Dill after his outing against Ashboro, where he went 6 innings, how much longer he could go, and he was talking about, near 120. He was at about 110, I believe, is the 1-2 pitch. He's inside and high. It's 2-2. And even to eat up 3 more outs, a 3-0 lead is not a giant lead for the HiToms. Here comes the 2-2 sidearm delivery from McKissick. It's fouled off. Has that very interesting delivery. Sidearm slings the ball, the right-handed pitcher. 2-2 pitch. Here's the delivery. It's lined into right field. Tyson Bass not going to be able to get to it. It's a base hit for Palali, who will stop at first base as Bass was able to cut it off before getting the ball getting to the wall. And it's a 1-out hit for the HiToms.
Took a fortunate bounce for Tyson Bass. It bounced and he reached up his arm and it was right into his glove. So if that didn't happen, it definitely could have been 2 bags for Dom Palali.
So it's now J.D. Suarez up with Palali on first base with 1 out. First delivery to Suarez is popped up down the first base line in foul territory. Caden Wagner makes the easy catch near the coach's box down the first base line. And J.D. Suarez walks a little bit gingerly back to the dugout.
Yeah, he was hit back in the 6th inning, so could still be feeling some effects from that.
Here's Juan Correa, who's 0 for 3 in the game, but picked up an RBI when he grounded into a double play. First pitch to Correa is lined down the first base line, but well foul. Palali on first base with a 1-out single into right field. HiToms looking to add some insurance. They haven't scored since the top of the 5th inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the inside corner, strike 2. HiToms scored a run in the top of the 1st, the top of the 4th, and the top of the 5th. Boone has been held scoreless the entire game. Nate McKissick's 0-2 pitch. Runner takes off for second. Palali's in there easily standing up as the pitch was outside and no throw went down to second. So the HiToms have a runner in scoring position. McKissick's 1-2 delivery to Correa. Rides outside. It's 2-2. And McKissick at 31 pitches. Pitched 26 in the 3rd innings coming into this game. He's been one of the main relievers for Boone. 2-2 with 2 outs. McKissick's delivery. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Correa out in front of the breaking ball. We go to the bottom of the 8th. HiToms still lead 3-0. Will it be Jay Dill back out on the mound with his 7 scoreless innings, or do the HiToms turn to the bullpen? Let's see right after this as you're tuned into the HiToms Radio Network.
Bottom of the 8th here in Boone, North Carolina. The HiToms have finally turned to the bullpen after 7 scoreless innings from Jay Dale. It's Joe Areola, the left-handed pitcher, who's 6'2", and is a freshman at Wake Forest, who will face Kai Wagner first. So a lefty-lefty matchup to start in the bottom of the 8th. Areola's first pitch right down the middle on a fastball, strike one. Areola on the year is 0-1 with an ERA that's above 10, but he's only thrown 3 2/3. And is certainly in the top part of what you'll see in for the HiToms pitching. 0-1 pitch on the outside corner. It's 0-2.
Yeah, the HiToms keep it in the ACC, and for Areola, it just hasn't really gotten too much opportunity thus far for the Tommies, but this is a big opportunity for him here to keep this lead with just 6 more outs needed for the HiToms.
Areola brings his glove up to his mouth, down to his belt, and fires the pitch. It's in the turf. It's 1-2. Areola was ranked as the 4th best left-hand pitcher in New York by Perfect Game, and went to high school in Long Island, New York. And it's 1-2 on Kai Wagner. Will now kick his leg and deliver the pitch. It's fouled off and out of play behind Boone's dugout. Boone just has 4 hits. The HiToms only have 5, and an error apiece for each team. So we'll do the 2-strike pitch again. Areola will fire the pitch. It's lined down the third base line, but foul. One and two, it stays on Kai Wagner in some tense moments here in the bottom of the 8th. No one on base, but the HiToms just clinging to a 3-run lead. Joe Areola will set and deliver the pitch. Just a little bit inside. The count's even at 2 with no outs in the bottom of the 8th. Boone looking to get some base runners on, which they haven't had a lot of. Areola lifts his leg, 2-2 pitch, rides high, it's 3-2. This is something Areola struggled with through 3 2/3, as he's walked 6 batters and he struck out 4. It's a full count. Areola will take a step backwards and now fire the pitch. Just off the outside corner, ball 4. And the leadoff runner is aboard for the Bigfoots. And that brings up Blake Hale, who hit into a double play his last time up, as it went Suarez, Fernandez, Spike, 6-4-3. Areola takes a look at Wagner at first, delivers to Hale, blows a fastball right by the bat, strike 1. It's 0-1 to Blake Hale, the catcher. Joe Areola working out the stretch for the first time. The lefty delivers the pitch. On the upper part of the zone, it's 0-2 against Blake Hale. Runner on first is Kai Wagner, who got aboard on the leadoff walk. The first batter that the HiToms bullpen has faced tonight. Areola looks at first. 0-2 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 pitches, and Hale goes down swinging for an important first out.
After a rocky first pitcher that Areola saw on Kai Wagner, he looked in command on Hall. The fastball was working for him, and it got Hall out.
Here comes the switch hitter, Carlos Amasquita, this time hitting from the right side against the lefty, Joe Areola. With 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th, Kai Wagner still on first base. First pitch to Amasquita is fouled off down the first base line and way out of play. So 0-1 against Carlos Amasquita, who has hurt the HiToms a lot so far this year. Areola, a look at Wagner. And now stares towards the plate, delivers the 0-1 pitch. It's low, it's 1-1.
And because Jay Dale was in such command through all of his innings, this is only Amasquita's 3rd at-bat.
He's gotten a few double plays as well. Areola's 1-1 pitch.
It's inside on the righty Amasquita. It's 2-1. And definitely don't want to put another runner on due to a free pass. So Ariola trying to pound the zone here on 2-1 against Carlos Amasquita. Ariola delivers a 2-1 pitch right on the outside corner, strike 2. A great fastball with velocity from Ariola. Ariola sets, delivers a 2-2 pitch. It's lined down the first base line and in fair territory. Wagner was already taking off from first, and he's going to round third. He's going to score. Amasquita's going to head towards third. It's an RBI triple by Carlos Amasquita, and Boone's on the board. It's 3-1.
Amasquita stings the HiToms again. He's done it all year, and this one he puts a perfect ball out to the right side corner of the field. Nothing Nathan Crispin could do out there, and it's now just a 2-run game.
Wagner running on the pitch was easily able to score, and Amasquita scoots into third base. And Boone's on the board and looking to close the deficit to 1 with Amasquita just 90 feet away, and it brings up the top of the lineup in Will Durrell. The first extra base hit for either team this game. Here's the first pitch to Durrell. It's in the turf, ball 1. One and 0 to Will Durrell. HiToms turn of their bullpen. So far hasn't been super successful, but the HiToms still maintain a 2-run lead. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It goes high, and it's 2-0. Will Durrell in a hitter's count. It's 2-0. Ariola, glove up to his face, now down to his waist, delivers the pitch. Right on the lower part of the zone, strike 1.
Will Durrell was another guy that Jay Dill was able to keep in check. He went 0 for 3 thus far.
Pretty much kept the entire team in check.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And it's very impressive to do against a really good hitting Boone team. 2-1 pitch on the outside corner, strike 2. So Ariola has battled back from 2-0 to bring it to 2-2 with 1 out and Amasquita on third base. HiToms would like to have some insurance going into the 9th. Ariola steps to the side. His 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. As Karen grabbed it right above the turf on a disgusting breaking ball from Joe Ariola. And his second strikeout of the inning.
Now batting number 2, Braden Simpson.
Brings up Braden Simpson, who has one of the 5 Boone Bigfoots hits in this game. 2 outs, Amasquita on third base. 3-1 HiToms. First pitch into Simpson. Hit him right on his front foot. His left foot. It squarely hit him. And Simpson's going to limp down to first base. And Boone's going to have runners on the corners with 2 outs.
Second time tonight that Simpson's been hit by a pitch. And I think the first time was also in the foot. I'm not sure if it was the same foot, but either way, it's been a tough day for Simpson.
And it brings up a tough hair for the HiToms, and it's Tyson Bass, who has a single in this game and 2 strikeouts. But hits just above 300 on the season and is one of the more dangerous hitters in the Coastal Plain League. And we also see if the Bigfoots try to get the second runner in scoring position. 2 outs and Tyson Bass at the plate. Ariola looks towards first, now delivers the pitch. It's inside, ball 1. So Carlos Amasquita knocked in Kai Wagner after he got a leadoff walk with the RBI triple. Amasquita's on third. Brant Simpson's on first. 1-0 pitch is hit on the ground towards third base. Jake Coonan bobbles, now regathers, fires on a first. It's not in time, throws it by the glove of Spike. Tyson Bass is going to be held at third base. Rather, Braden Simpson, as Jake Coonan couldn't gather off the initial ball hit on the ground at third base. Then gathered again to fire past Spike, and now the HiToms are in some trouble. It's second and third with 2 outs. Amasquita comes in to score. The HiToms still maintain a 1-run lead, but now the go-ahead runs on second base, the tying runs on third.
And for the HiToms, they're going to look back at this 8th inning and look at the hit by pitch and then the Jake Coonan bobble. I'm not sure if he did collect that, would only be a 2-run game, but still, Coonan didn't get the best collect at third base, and as you alluded to, Adam, the HiToms are in a lot of trouble here, just now only a one-run game.
Eric Owen will be out to the pitching mound. As Jake Coonan looked like he had the third out of the inning, but when he gathered at his chest, he dropped the ball, went to go pick it back up, felt a little bit rushed, and threw it away from first. But luckily for the HiToms, only one run came in a score. However, this could be one of those games you look at in the HiToms season where it's a gotta-have-it game. You're up 3-0, you get 7 scoreless from your starter, Jay Dale, one of the best HiToms starts the entire season, if not the best start, as it's first and third, rather, and 2 outs is a throw over to first. Not in time. So Tyson Bass did stay at first base after Jack Spike went to get the ball on the errant throw from Jake Coonan. So it's runners on the corners, 2 outs. Caden Wagner at the plate. Takes the 1-0 pitch. Inside, it's 2-0. The tying runs at third base and Braden Simpson. The go-ahead runs at first base and Tyson Bass. The HiToms have led the entire way, but Boone is threatening. 2-0 on Caden Wagner. With 2 outs, here's Ariola's pitch. It's inside, it's 3-0. Oh, it's 3-0 on Wagner. Runners on the corners. Ariola's pitch. It's in for a strike on a breaking ball. Wagner was probably sitting fastball, and he got the breaking ball. 3-1 on Caden Wagner. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. HiToms lead by 1 in the bottom of the 8th. Ariola's 2-1 delivery is taken just high, and rather that's the third ball. It's 3-1. Three and one on Caden Wagner. Ariola, the lefty, trying to get out of this bottom of the 8th with the HiToms leading. 3-1 pitch from Ariola. It's taken high, and the bases are loaded.
And unfortunately for Joe Ariola, just not the kind of outing you were hoping for. You'd hope he just, continue right off of what Jay Dill did through 7 innings, but it's been anything but that.
So Ariola's going to go back in the windup with the bases loaded, tying runs at third base. Go-ahead runs at second. Ariola will deliver to Max Weller the first pitch on the outside corner, strike 1. Braden Simpson's on third, who reached on a hit-by-pitch. Tyson Bass reached on to Ayers at second, and Caden Wagner, who most recently worked a walk, is on first base. 3-2, the HiToms lead with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Ariola, sidestep and delivery, swing and a miss, strike 2. Blew the fastball by Weller, and the HiToms are 1 pitch away from getting out of the jam in the 8th. Ariola back in the windup, is set at his waist. Glove right near his head. Here comes the 0-2 delivery, just fouled off and into the netting, and bounces right into the HiToms dugout. Now Ariola looking to strand the bases loaded and give the HiToms one of their most electrifying bullpen moments of the entire season. With Boone scoreless through 7, have scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th to make it 3-2 HiToms. Max Weller still behind 0-2. Ariola is set. Will move his foot and deliver. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Got Weller to chase on a pitch inside. And that will retire the side. The Bigfoots grab 2 in the inning, but Joe Ariola holds enough to give the HiToms the 1-run lead as we head into the 9th. We are headed for an exciting finish here in Boone, North Carolina. Stay with us as the HiToms lead 3-2 over the Bigfoots on the HiToms Radio Network.
Top of the 9th. HiToms maintain a 1-run lead after Boone, who is scoreless through 7, scores 2 in the bottom of the 8th. And it's Nate McKissick still on the mound to face Jake Coonan. Takes the first one outside, ball 1. That inning was not the most ideal thing for the HiToms, AJ.
No, not at all. And if you're HBT here in this 9th, you got to get at least 2 runs. 1 run going into the 9th will not be enough against a Boone team that is now awakened after that bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, it was some free passes and an error that set up Boone to score. And a triple by Carlos Amasquita is the 2-0 pitches missed way outside. It's 3-0 on Jake Coonan, who walked his last plate appearance. McKissick's 3-0 delivery. Coonan wasn't ready to swing at all and takes it on the outside corner for a strike. So taking all the way. And it's now 3-1 with no outs in the top of the 9th to Jake Coonan. 3-1 pitch. It's hit into right field. Tyson Bass coming on. He dives. He can't make the catch. It's by him in right field. It's going to go right near to the wall. Jake Coonan on his way to second. He's headed towards third. He's at third with a leadoff double by Jake Coonan. Tyson Bass laid out to make the play, came up empty, and it cost him a couple of bases.
All game, Tyson Bass has had easy ones out there in right field, just floaters right to his glove. This one he had to work for, and he just didn't time the dive right.
And maybe not a play that you want to sell out on either, because that ball got to the warning track, and Coonan was able to make it to third easily. So it's Andrew Fernandez now with the Boone infield in. Here's McKissick's pitch to Fernandez. It's low, ball 1. But McKissick got behind Coonan 3-1, and Coonan fluttered it out into right field near Tyson Bass, where he dove and came up empty. As Andrew Fernandez hits it right back up the middle, it's a base hit. The HiToms have some insurance. It's 4-2 High Point-Thomasville.
Exactly the kind of inning the HiToms needed. Get a few more runs tacked on going into the bottom of the 9th, and it started off brilliantly with the bottom of the order going to work.
And how about Jake Coonan redeeming himself after an error he made in the bottom of the 8th? Gets on base with a hit and scores on an Andrew Fernandez single. As Fernandez takes off for second, here's the throw down. Did they get the tag down? They did not. The ball beat Fernandez to the bag, but Amasquita couldn't lay the tag down in time as Fernandez slid right by him. And the HiToms have another runner in scoring position with no outs here in the top of the 9th.
Bigfoots just aren't in sync at the moment. The dive from Bass wasn't in time, and that time Wagner received the throw, but just couldn't get the tag there enough.
Kane Kepley took strike 1. Kepley's been on base 3 times, all walks, as that's fouled off down the third base line. But Fernandez taking off on the first pitch, and that was a very risky proposition from head coach Sean Stevens, but it pays off. The HiToms have their hottest hitter up right now in Kane Kepley, but he's down 0-2 against Nate McKissick. Fernandez on second base. 4-2 HiToms as they've had a run already here in the top of the 9th. Here's McKissick's 0-2 pitch. It's way high and away from the zone. It's 1-2. One and two on Kane Kepley. McKissick throws back to second, and Andrew Fernandez is caught, so he's going to take off for third. The throw to third is by and into the Boone dugout or right near it, so Fernandez catches a giant break as McKissick picked him off at second base, it looked like. But the throw was errant from the Boone infield, and Fernandez takes the extra 90 feet after what could have been a brutal base-running error.
Bigfoots are going to be kicking themselves at the end of this top of the 9th. Throw, the dive from Bass out in right field wasn't good. The throw to second when Fernandez was stealing wasn't good. And now they miscue a throw over to third, and that wasn't good either.
Is the 1-2 pitch is outside, and it's ball 2. Boone's infield has to play in again. Started with a triple from Jake Coonan, and then RBI single by Fernandez, who's all the way over to third. 2-2 pitch to Kane Kepley is fouled up and out of play behind home plate. Fernandez got to second on the stolen base and got to third also on a stolen base, but more of a miscue of Boone trying to get Fernandez at third base because they had plenty of time to get him. So it's 2-2 to Kane Kepley. Here's McKissick's pitch. It rides inside. The count is full on Kane Kepley, who is threatening for his 4th walk of the game.
all in all, Andrew Fernandez should probably be out, either at second or third, but somehow he's alive at third.
HiToms catching a couple breaks here in the top of the ninth. Here's the full count delivery to Kepley. It's driven into left field. Will Durrell's giving chase. It's over his head, and it's into left field, over the fence. It's a ground rule double. Kane Kepley's been on 4 times today, and the HiToms have a 3-run lead. And, AJ, like you mentioned, the HiToms score 2 so far in the top of the ninth.
Exactly what they needed. Get some more runs ahead of a dangerous Boone batting order. And this top of the ninth has been one of the best ninth innings, or maybe innings period, from the HiToms all year. They needed to deliver, and they have thus far.
Yeah, this is one you felt like Boone had all the momentum after going scoreless through 7. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th to make it 3-2. But the HiToms had 2 in the top of the 9th. It started with the hit by Jake Coonan that got by Tyson Bass. He was knocked in by Andrew Fernandez on a single, who got the second and third on stolen bases. And then it was a Kane Kepley ground rule double over the left fielder Will Durrell's head. And the HiToms have had 2 in the top of the 9th. Runner on second's Kepley. HiToms lead by 3. Here's the first pitch to Nate Chrisman. It's up the middle. Carlos Amasquillo will charge across second base. Throw on to first. It's in time to get Nate Chrisman out as he was swinging on the first pitch. But Kane Kepley moves down to third base. And the HiToms looking to tack on at least one more run in this inning. Here is Jack Spike with 1 out on the top of the 9th. Kane Kepley on first base. First pitch in a Spike on the outside corner. Strike 1 from McKissick on a fastball. 3 straight batters reach for the HiToms to start, and then it was a Nate Chrisman ground out as Boone's infield is back in with Kepley on third base. As that's in the turf, it's 1-1 with 1 out. Every game against Boone for the HiToms has seemed to have a very intense ending. And this one is setting up for that now. 1-1 pitch on the upper outside corner. It's 1-2 on Jack Spike with 1 out. Kane Kepley is 90 feet away. 5-2 HPT in the top of the 9th. 1-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner on a breaking ball. Spike with a great take. And the count's even at 2. And McKissick looking in for his pitch from Blake Hale. The righty will lift his leg and deliver the pitch. It's hit to Carlos Amasquillo at short. He's going to gather and go home. The throw home is not in time. What a play by Kane Kepley. He didn't think the tag was down, and it was not. He goes by home. Blake Hale doesn't have it, and then Kane Kepley slides his foot underneath home after he already crossed it. Some Kane Kepley craziness.
Wow, you were going to say, like, the delayed call. Like, there's no way the umpire can delay that call that long. Kane Kepley never touched the base at first. So some Kane Kepley trickery, craziness. One of the most bizarre runs you'll ever see scored.
Kane Kepley was headed towards home, and there was a multitude of things that happened, but Kane Kepley was looking at the umpire like, what's the call? Maybe trying to distract Blake Hale, and then just taps home plate after he already crossed it when there should have been a call made, but there was no tag applied. So the HiToms add a run. It's 3 in the top of the 9th, 6-2 HiToms, and Jack Spike's at first base. Here's the pitch into Karen. It's a strike. First pitch was a ball, so it's 1-1 on Karen with 1 out in the top of the 9th. One of the best things the HiToms have had all season long. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Karen. It's looped down to right field. Tyson Bass giving chase near the first base line. He makes the catch in fair territory for out number 2. Just got to have some time to catch my breath there, AJ.
Absolutely. I'm still perplexed at how Kane Kepley was able to score. And great awareness by him, not just walking off into the dugout thinking he's out or something.
Wildness here in Boone, North Carolina. Here's Dom Palali, who takes the first pitch inside, nearly hit him, but he spins away. And it's ball 1 to the lefty Palali. With Boone's infield in, Amasquillo tried to go home on that play. It did not pay off, although it looked like they had Kepley dead to rights at home plate as that pitch is by Palali's bat on the fastball from McKissick. It's 1-1. HiToms have had 3 runs of insurance here in the 9th. Here's the next pitch. It's low. It's 2-1. Nate McKissick now at 58 pitches. Not your usual relief outing. 2-1 pitch to Palali. It fades outside. It's 3-1. Three-one pitch to Palali. It's popped up in foul territory. Braden Simpson giving chase, and it lands just behind the Boone dugout. Thought it was about to slam off the top part of the Bigfoots dugout. So it's a full count on Palali. Jack Spike at first base in a wild 9th inning here at Jim and Betty Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. The Bigfoots and the HiToms with another thriller. Full count pitch. It's hit on the ground to the second baseman, Kai Wagner. He'll gather and throw to first in time for the 3rd out of the inning. But the HiToms get some great hitting, some craziness, and some bad Boone defense, and it leads to a 3-run top of the 9th inning for the HiToms. They now lead 6-2 after 3 insurance runs. Stay with us for the bottom of the 9th here from Jim and Betty Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. We roll into the 9th inning. Rather, the bottom of the 9th with Rogue Wallace first up for the Bigfoots. So the HiToms scored 1 run in the top of the 1st, in the 4th, and in the 5th. Boone was scoreless through 7. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th. It's 3-2, but the HiToms grabbed 3 huge insurance runs. They now lead 6-2 in the top of the 9th. Joe Ariola's on the mound, still for his 2nd inning of work, and throws a first pitch strike to Rogue Wallace. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Rogue Wallace. It's on the outside corner for a strike from Joe Ariola. So instead of working with a 3-run lead this time, he's working with a 4-run lead, trying to close out an important HiToms victory, which would be number 11 overall and number 3 of the second half, as that pitch is inside ball 1. In only the 2nd win this year against Boone, HiToms currently at 1-5 in Game 7 of 8 between the HiToms and the Bigfoots. 1-2 pitch to Rogue Wallace. Here's the pitch. It's a breaking ball chopped down the 3rd baseline and foul. A pretty electrifying game from start to finish, and we'll see if there are any more fireworks from the Boone Bigfoots bats. Joe Ariola set, kicks his leg, delivers the 1-2 pitch. It's fouled off to the right side, way behind the HiToms dugouts, into a bunch of trees.
Still a pretty full crowd here at Jim and Betty Stadium, staying for the finish of this game. 1-2 pitch from Arriola. On the inside corner, strike 3 called. Joe Arriola is racking up strikeouts. He's faced 4 batters, and all have gone down by a strikeout.
You're exactly right, Adam. Arriola's 3rd strikeout of the game, and when he's thrown those strikes, he's looked in control.
So here's Kai Wagner with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Bigfoot's down to the last 2 outs as that's inside, and that hit, I believe, the mask of our home plate umpire. Sounded like some sort of mask, and it wasn't Josh Cairns as our home plate umpire falls off for a little bit. So it's 1-0 to Kai Wagner. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's fouled off behind the Boone dugout, and once again it hits the light pole and back onto the field of play. 2nd time it's happened during this game.
It really has been a wacky Wednesday in this game.
Arriola is set in the windup. 1-1 pitch. Here it comes. A breaking ball just a little bit high. Had Wagner fooled, but the pitch rose high. It's 2-1 on Kai Wagner. Bigfoots desperately need a runner to get on. Down 4 in the bottom of the 9th against the HiToms. 2-1 pitch from the lefty. Arriola is way high and inside. It's 3-1. So that went all the way to the backstop. About head level with Kai Wagner, the lefty. Joe Arriola is down 3-1 in the count. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the outside corner, strike 2. First base coach from Boone did not like the call, and the count has been moved to full. It's a full count with 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th. Arriola's 3-2 pitch to Wagner. Just a little bit high on a front door breaking ball that was not able to catch the inside corner on the lefty Wagner. And Boone has a runner aboard with 1 out.
It's exactly what happened in the 8th inning for Boone. The first batter struck out, and then Arriola hit the next batter, and then he walked. Then there was a base hit and then another walk. So hopefully Arriola does not repeat what he did in the 8th.
Here is Blake Hales, swings and misses through the first fastball from Arriola. So Wagner's been aboard 3 times, a single and 2 walks in his last 2 plate appearances. And Blake Hales 0 for 3, looking to change that. But he's down 0-1 against Arriola. Here's the pitch. It's popped up sky high on the infield. Jack Spike calls from at the first baseman. Fernandez calls him off. Coonan calls him off. The ball drops. Karen picks it up, throws towards second to get the out. Oh, a wacky play. The HiToms first baseman, Jack Spike, called it. Then it was Andrew Fernandez, the second baseman. Then it was Jake Kuhn, the third baseman, who ends up dropping the ball. Josh Karen with great coverage to get out towards the pitcher's mound and throw to J.D. Suarez to second to get the force out.
Say that again?
No.
Yeah, big mix-up from all the infielders for the HiToms. Nobody knew whose responsibility it would be to catch that ball. Nobody ends up catching it, but somehow the HiToms get an out.
So it's Carlos Amasquita now with 2 outs. What a giant play as that first pitch is inside to the right-hand hitting Amasquita. It was sky high in the infield, looked like trouble from the start, but Spike was very confident in calling it. Then Fernandez, then Coonan, and then the ball dropped, but Josh Karen with some great backup as that pitch is on the outside corner, strike 1.
Really back up. He was like the 5th guy in there.
Yeah, there was Arriola in there too, but he got out of the way because that's what you're supposed to do as a pitcher. But stuff happens, I guess. That's what this game's been all about. 1-1 pitch is hit on the ground at J.D. Suarez, who fields it behind second, flips on to second for the out, and that ends the game. That was the 3rd out of the game and secures the win for the HiToms. A bounding ball back up the middle. J.D. Suarez behind second, flips to Andrew Fernandez for the 3rd out, and the HiToms are victorious 6-2 in an absolute thriller, AJ.
Absolutely. 2 big takeaways from this one. First, Jay Dill's masterful 7 innings of pitching where he kept the Boone Bigfoots scoreless. And then the bottom of the 8th, which wasn't good from the HiToms, but the top of the 9th is a top of the 9th. They'll look back on this whole season if maybe they go on a miraculous run or anything like that. It was an excellent top of the 9th from this team. They score 4 runs, the runs they needed to score to get some insurance in this bottom of the 9th. A really, really impressive performance by this team.
Yeah, big-time all-around performance. That can definitely shift the momentum. You mentioned Jay Dill, who had the best outing in the HiToms season, went 7 innings pitched, allowed just 4 hits, no runs, just 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. And it's safe to say that set the HiToms up well for this game, AJ.
Absolutely. Joey Arola did the job. Wasn't perfect from him, but he did the job. He got the win for this team, and a big win in a team that they've struggled against all year. The Bigfoots only had 1 win against them going into this game. They get the second one, and we'll make one more trip to Boone, and it feels like each time we come here, it's always an eventful game, and this one definitely goes to the top of the order.
Yeah, the last game here was a Boone Bigfoots walk-off, but this time it's Joey Areola closing out the Bigfoots. His first 4 outs were strikeouts in the 8th, and then the first out of the 9th. Then it was a pop fly that 3 HiToms infielders called. It went off the glove of Jake Coonan. Josh Karen, the catcher, came out behind home plate, recovered it, threw to second to get the force out, and then the HiToms were able to close it out on a ground out. But you turn back to the 3-run top of the 9th inning. AJ, what stood out to you most about that inning?
Well, the way Kane Kepley somehow scored. He faked out everyone, the catcher, the pitcher. I'm assuming he just didn't touch the bag, and then he, good awareness from him, touches the bag, gets that run. And really, the HiToms, they needed the runs. They needed those 3 runs to close out this game. And that top of the 9th was some of the best baseball this team's played on the offensive side.
And it's safe to say that the spark was from Jake Coonan. After making an error in the bottom of the 8th, he gets the hit in the top of the 9th that Tyson Bass dives at and is not able to come up with it, and that leads to Coonan standing on third base, and the HiToms add on 3 insurance runs and take the win 6-2. AJ, you got any final thoughts?
Just another way for this team to bounce back. After a big loss against the Salamanders, they come back today. A masterful performance from Jay Dill, something that he should be really proud of, and so should this whole team. And an excellent 9th inning by this team. I'm sure the entire coaching staff is jubilant about that. And now, can they keep the momentum going? They got a game tomorrow against the Salamanders, another team that has plagued them all year, haven't played well against them at all. Can they get a win there and finally gain some momentum, put a few wins together? And who knows, second half of the season, they got to finish either first or second. It's doable because it's been a shaky half, other from the Blowfish, who have really stood out in the West Division. Everyone else has kind of struggled up and down. So can the HiToms, after this signature win, get a few wins together? And who knows what could happen.
But I'll tell you what, AJ, the HiToms have done is they've gone into Boone and knocked off the Bigfoots for the second time this season. And they improved to 2-5 against Boone. The HiToms improved to 11-18 on the season, 3-4 in the second half of play. Bigfoots fall to 14-16 and 4-4 in the second half of play. HiToms win a thriller, 6-2 against the Boone Bigfoots. From Jim and Betty Stadium in Boone, North Carolina, on the campus of Appalachian State. For my partner AJ Myers, I'm Adam Oppenheim. Again, the final score: the HiToms 6, the Bigfoots 2. You've been tuned in to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Thank you, and have a great night, everybody.